Good afternoon, everyone. Week's Team Kentucky update. We're going to start today where we always start, with our red hot economy here in Kentucky. In 2023, we celebrated our best year for exports ever in our history here in Kentucky. Kentucky businesses topped over $40 billion in exports for the first time in state history. And today we're working to build on that success. Today, we announced that new federal funding is available to help build the global presence of Kentucky-based companies. The U.S. Small Business Administration has approved Kentucky for $400,000 in State Trade Expansion Program, or STEP, funds. This grant program has already helped hundreds of Kentucky businesses become exporters, boosting economic development and job creation across our state. Eligible Kentucky businesses can receive up to $15,000 in reimbursement for grant funding for this round of the program. Anyone interested in applying for funding is encouraged to visit kyexports.com for the application and other valuable information for exporters. This is just another tool to help our businesses grow and to hire more people. Together, Kentucky, we have broken every economic development record in the books, with over $32 billion of private sector investment, over 55,000 new jobs. We've announced the best 2 years for wages in our history, broken the record for exports, and now doing the work to do even more. And the last 2 years have been the best years for Kentucky tourism and its impact ever. We're going to beat that this year. So we're going to keep this red hot economy going. We're going to keep doing the work, and this is a good program to help make it happen. Yesterday, we also had some incredible news out of the federal government that's going to specifically help Eastern Kentucky and parts of Appalachia to make sure they are a part of this job growth. We're hitting the gas on the final segment of the Mountain Parkway expansion thanks to a $116.3 million federal grant. That's not only an extra $116.3 million from the federal government, but it unlocks $150 million from our Kentucky state budget to push towards the project as well. So what that means is $266.3 million just opened up to speed the finalizing of the four-way. Once finished, this project will create a safer, faster commute and spur job growth throughout Kentucky. I've made the expansion of the Mountain Parkway in Eastern Kentucky a top priority, and I am thankful to all the local and state leaders who advocated for this funding. I want to thank President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete for getting it done. I also want to thank former Congressman John Yarmouth, who helped get the bill that's included in this passed, as well as Senator Mitch McConnell for their support and leadership on the bipartisan infrastructure law. Without that funding, none of this would be possible. The Infrastructure for Rebuilding America grant, which this is technically not under that piece, but will complete the nearly $300 million construction project for the final piece of the Mountain Parkway, a nearly 13-mile stretch of new construction as the Magoffin-Floyd segment that will extend the parkway from Salyersville to Magoffin County, in Magoffin County to Prestonsburg in Floyd County. In total, the Mountain Parkway expansion consists of 6 project segments, all of which are currently completed, under construction, or under contract. Funding for all other segments has been secured, and once this project is finished, Kentucky will have 400 continuous miles of 4-lane high-speed highway connecting Pikeville to Paducah. The funding marks the second federal grant for the Mountain Parkway expansion project secured under our administration. In 2020, we announced $55 million from the federal government to fund the expansion through Wolfe County. This is great news. This has been a promise and a project that so many governors have worked on, and we're here to say we now have all the pieces to get it done, to get this finally 4-laned all the way through. Next, we have important announcements on security grants being awarded by the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security. Kentucky has been allocated more than $4.3 million by FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security. These funds are distributed by the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security through the Homeland Security Grant Program, with the vast majority of these funds going to our local governments. It's been my focus to improve the lives of all Kentuckians. That means helping to improve all our communities keep their residents safe and secure. These funds do just that by strengthening our security against cyber attacks, potential terrorist threats, and improving community safety. With us today are a few special guests who are receiving a portion of this funding. First up, the City of Ashland will receive more than $273,000 to purchase an emergency response trailer that will be shared throughout the region. This trailer will safely store vital equipment needed in case of a building collapse or rescue. We have Deputy Chief Will McKenzie from the Ashland Fire Department, along with some others, to accept this check. And Josh, you had Homeland Security. You'd come up and help me present it.
Yes, sir.
Here you go, gentlemen. Let's do it right over here if we can. Come on in. Here's $273,000. Want to mention the project?
Yes, for a community that hosts a population of 21,600 approximately, this is going to be a large piece of funding that is going to help us improve our response capabilities, not only to the city of Ashland, but to the whole eastern side of the state. Deputy Chief McKenzie worked very hard on working on this grant, and I would like to thank the Homeland Security Division for awarding us this grant, because this will be a welcomed addition to the eastern part of the state in providing collapse rescue technician type services to that region. Chief, if you'd like to mention something about
we're putting in the grant. A lot of the grant funding was based off of terrorist type attacks, which a lot of times leads to building collapses through explosions, hazmat type incidents. So a lot of the equipment was based off of a response we made to Martin County where a building did collapse. So a lot of the equipment carried on the trailer was things we lacked that night because we had the trained people. We just had minuscule amounts of equipment. So we were trying to make things work that wasn't exactly designed for that. This trailer gave us the ability to have that on Eastern Kentucky and not have to wait 4 to 8 hours for other resources from Central Kentucky, Louisville area to make it to Eastern Kentucky for us to be able to start rescue operations in a much safer way. So it's invaluable for us to be able to have this trailer. We're very thankful for the money to be able to fund this. Without it, we'd never be able to fund it out of our own budget.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for what you do.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you. All right.
Thank you very much.
Next up, the City of Frankfort will receive more than $455,000 to purchase a mobile command post. Mobile command vehicles can be deployed to improve or reestablish communication and coordination during emergency incidents and provide a centralized command for special events when security is heightened. These vehicles can provide satellite and internet access. We've learned, especially after natural disasters, both phone service and internet service going down can really hamper a response. So absolutely critical to have these resources, as well as radio and video capabilities to improve communication between emergency personnel. With us today is my mayor, Mayor Lane Wilkerson, along with our new Frankfort Police Chief, Derek Napier, and Assistant Police Chief, Scott Tracy. Come on up, gentlemen. Good to see you. Absolutely. No, it's all right. All right. Somebody want to mention the project?
So currently our mobile response teams lack a dedicated mobile command center, which could lead to inefficiencies and delays in coordinating resources. And as you all well know, that during emergencies, communication and coordination is key. This mobile command post will serve as a base for coordinating those resources, managing logistics, and providing critical support for our field personnel. The onboard dispatch center will provide redundancy in communication systems, ensuring that emergency services can continue to operate effectively, even in the most challenging circumstances. If something were to happen to our current dispatch center, we would still be able to dispatch from the mobile command post, which is an essential function in communication. We will be better equipped to handle emergencies protect our community, and most importantly, save lives. So I would like to thank the governor, the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security for making this funding happen, because again, much like Ashland, I don't know that we would be able to do this without their support. So thank you again.
Mayor?
And thank you, Governor, and the Kentucky Office for Homeland Security for this generous grant and for your ongoing commitment to the capital city. This grant's not only going to allow us to better protect our residents, but by being the seat of government, it's also going to allow us to better protect some of the Commonwealth's most critical infrastructure and institutions, which we're proud to do here in the city of Frankfort. And we're grateful, Governor, for your ongoing commitment and partnership in making Frankfort safer and stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, the city of Mount Sterling will receive more than $83,000 to purchase mobile data terminals, or MDTs, for the Mount Sterling Police Department. These MDTs are critical pieces of equipment for first responders. They allow our dispatchers, who do incredible work, to provide law enforcement officers and emergency personnel with the most accurate and up-to-date information in real time. The safety of our first responders depends on devices like MDTs, and we're thrilled to provide funding for more of these for the city of Mount Sterling. I think today we have Captain Jimmy Daniels, Lieutenant Aaron Knoll with the Mount Sterling Police Department. Gentlemen, come on up. Or we can come to you.
We'll come to you.
Somebody want to talk about the project? Yeah. We got it. Come on up. Thank you, sir. Of course.
First off, I'd like to thank the governor and the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security for this wonderful funding grant. This grant will in turn protect our citizens, improve response times. It gives us state-of-the-art in-car technology for every patrol officer and investigator within the city of Mount Sterling. These will integrate again with our flock systems, computer-aided dispatch, which will all trim down response times and increase investigations throughout the community. I'd also like to thank the Gateway Area Development District for all their help in this grant writing process. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity in this grant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for all you do. Team Kentucky is always working to improve the safety of our families and communities. These funds are just another way we're working to build a brighter future for every Kentucky family. I want to thank Executive Director of Homeland Security, Josh Keats, and his entire team for their work. The grants program at the Office of Homeland Security is recommending funding to 31 city and county governments across Kentucky. The complete list of award recipients will be posted on the Office of Homeland Security website. Thank you to all of our law enforcement and first responders who have joined us today. As governor, I serve all Kentuckians, and I take that commitment seriously. Not only that, but my faith teaches me that we are our brother and sisters' keepers, and that we must look out for all Kentuckians. It also teaches me that second chances aren't just the right thing to do, it's what we're called to do. Investing in second chances makes us safer and addresses some workforce challenges that we're seeing all across the country. And so I've been asked in a second term, what are some additional initiatives you're going to take? Or what are some things that we're going to do more in? And a big part of what we're going to be looking at is how we continue to increase our reentry services. Now, right now, Kentucky has had 3 years of some of the lowest recidivism that we've ever seen. What that means is people who have committed crimes after leaving prison or jail aren't committing as many crimes. And part of that has certainly been drug treatment that we've been providing inside our jails and prisons, and its availability at record numbers and amounts outside of jails and prisons. But the other thing that I'm just really grateful, and we've seen so many cabinets come together in, is a real historic effort on reentry services. how we get folks that are reentering our society to have the skills, but then ultimately that job that is probably the biggest determinative factor of whether they are going to make it, get back with their families, repair their lives, or whether they might reoffend. The goal is to reduce recidivism, thereby reducing crime, all while increasing our labor workforce while putting families back together and providing stability. That is a win, 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 if and when we do it right. We started some of this work on my third day in office when I restored voting rights to Kentuckians who had completed their sentences for nonviolent, non-sexual offenses. Now, more than 194,700 Kentuckians have had those rights restored. Last year, we launched the Jobs on Day One initiative, which helps former inmates become strong candidates for Kentucky's fast-paced labor market. We also announced that Simmons College of Kentucky, a historically Black college in Louisville, one of our 2 HBCUs, is offering courses at 3 state prisons through Pell Grants. It's Kentucky Correctional Institution for Women, North Point Training Center, and Luther Luckett Correctional Complex. This was a task they took on. And when you look at the numbers for those that they are able to ultimately lead to an associate's degree, you see that recidivism go down even more. We launched a statewide project that provides transportation at no cost to former inmates so they can get to addiction treatment, job interviews, education, and employment. We also offer the Putting Kentuckians First program, which helps those transitioning out of prison or addiction treatment and recovery to get back into the workforce. We provided funding through the Office of Drug Control Policy to the Kentucky Chamber Fair Chance Academy to help businesses hire and retain second chance talent. Through the Education and Labor Cabinet, we offer registered apprenticeship programs like for building trades, where our unions are going into our prisons and working with them to provide the type of training that can secure a job on day one when that person transitions out of that institution. Also, it puts them on track to get a nationally recognized credential that can help for years to come. And we offer free educational, training, and career resources in every Kentucky county, which includes GED preparation classes. Thanks to our free GED initiative, more than 12,200 Kentuckians have earned a GED diploma since January 2020, and that includes many incarcerated or formerly incarcerated Kentuckians. And in April of this year, we launched a new website, a one-stop shop of resources available for Kentuckians who need a second chance and for businesses who want to join us in creating a better Kentucky. That website is secondchance.ky.gov. We have seen recidivism now reach historic lows in Kentucky. Again, that means fewer people are reoffending and returning to state prison, meaning we are preventing crimes that may otherwise have happened. Today, we're taking more steps forward to provide more second chances by making 2 new announcements. First, we are expanding career and technical training and opportunities within our state prisons. Kentucky's economy is thriving, and because of that, the demand for technical skills is tremendous, and access to a wider talent pool is critical. Our team is working to establish a licensed cosmetology school in our female prison, the Kentucky Correctional Institution for Women. This would be the first ever cosmetology school in one of our prisons. Women who complete the program will be able to test to obtain a cosmetology license, a license that will open the door to a good job and a better life for them and their families. We're also exploring options with our wardens to partner on similar vocational programs across our prison system. The idea that everyone has the opportunity to leave with a skill that could result in gainful employment within, our goal is days or weeks of their release. We're focusing on training that makes our people immediately employable at a living wage. What we're doing is helping individuals to be able to walk out of state prisons with new hope, and in some cases, a career or technical license that will allow them to immediately go to work, which helps them repair their lives, return to society, hopefully get back with families that they may have been gone from, support children that are out there that were missing one of their parents. We know that having a good job after leaving prison helps reduce recidivism while increasing public safety and supporting so many Kentucky kids. Investing in individuals as they re-enter their communities is an investment in the future of Kentucky, both our economy and public safety. So that's number one. Second, today I'm signing an executive order creating the Governor's Council of Second Chance Employers. This 15-member council will be made up of leaders within the executive branch, as well as businesses across Kentucky, as well as the Kentucky Community and Technical College system. The council members that we're starting with are Tyler Stegall from Blue Oval SK, representing the manufacturing industry. Barbara Aker of More Than a Bakery, representing the manufacturing industry. If you remember, they've actually presented during a Team Kentucky update about their efforts and about their success. Steve Paulus, Lifeline Recovery Center, representing the healthcare industry. Rob Perez, DV8 Kitchen, representing the food service and hospitality industry. Stephen Johnson, Martin Contracting, representing the construction and utilities industry. Nick DeAndrea from UPS, representing the transportation and logistics industry. John Estes from Amazon, representing multi-sector operations. Chad Mills, the Kentucky State Building and Construction Trade Council, representing unions. Ryan Quarles, Kentucky Community and Technical College System, representing higher education. Tammy Wilson from the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, representing regional chambers. And Lakeisha Miller, representing the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. The council will meet quarterly to educate and encourage employers and local communities on the benefits of second chance hiring. They'll advocate for laws and investments to improve reentry outcomes and develop best practices for effective reentry programs. What it's going to do is give us folks that not only can communicate the success that they have had with second chance employment, but they also can provide feedback for us and our programs to make sure we're doing it right, to make sure that the skills that we're providing while someone is incarcerated match up with the jobs that are on the other end, and to create a flow of communication where we can try to do better and better and better in real time, getting that feedback. Today, we have our former Justice and Public Safety Cabinet Secretary, Kerry Harvey, who's with us. I'm pleased to announce he's taken on a new role as my special advisor for reentry programs. Kerry has a passion for this, and he can't leave us. He keeps coming back, which we need him here. So, Kerry, will you join me for a few words, and then I will sign the executive order. Welcome.
Hello. It's good to be with all of you today. And Governor, I appreciate the opportunity to be engaged in this important work. As we know, most of our inmates eventually return to Kentucky communities. In fact, in Kentucky, that amounts to probably about 13,000 a year. Everybody wins if those who reenter society from prison succeed. And in this context, success means that our reentering inmate does not commit a new crime, does not reoffend. It means that our reentering inmate wins over whatever addiction issues they may have struggled with, which so often led them to prison at the beginning. It means that our reentering inmate obtains meaningful employment at a living wage and can support their families both financially and emotionally. It means that they become role models for their children and their grandchildren. And all of us, all Kentuckians, have an important stake in this work. If you are a Kentuckian who is concerned about crime, successful reentry reduces recidivism, which is a fancy way to say that there's less crime and fewer victims of crime in Kentucky. If you're fiscally conservative, if you believe that we should prudently administer the public treasury, you should be supportive of this work. Successful reentry programming offers an enormous return on investment to taxpayers. If we can reduce recidivism, the recidivism rate by just a few points, something that is entirely achievable, it will result in a savings to Kentucky taxpayers that will be measured in the tens of millions of dollars. Effective reentry programming is a great investment in and for Kentucky. If you are pro-family, successful reentry reunites and heals broken families. It creates role models and breadwinners across Kentucky. And if you run a business in this absolutely booming Kentucky economy and you're facing workforce shortages, the reentry population can be a positive part of your solution. And we stand ready to work with you to make that happen. If your moral compass leads you to believe in second chances, that one way or another we all are in need of a second chance, then these programs are the quintessential actualization of that ideal. So we will build on the work that's already being done in the reentry area in order to make sure that our reentering population has absolutely the best chance to succeed when they return to Kentucky communities. This means helping people navigate a world that may be far different from what they remember. Things as basic as obtaining an ID, as learning how to access health care, finding a place to live, solving transportation problems, figuring out how to get from one place to another. These can be enormous challenges to a reentering inmate, and we're going to help with that. It means addressing substance abuse problems, which in so many cases are the root cause of the problem that led to incarceration. And we will have a heavy focus on equipping our people to land a good job at a living wage. A decent job is the key that opens many doors. A decent job creates hope, and hopeful people are far less likely to commit crimes. It means that we're going to provide more and better education and vocational training to our inmates so that they will be equipped to succeed in the modern economy. We will work with Kentucky employers, with our unions, with our community college system, with the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, and with all other willing partners to help us achieve our goals. This work is important today, and the work we do today will echo through future generations. This is how we break generational cycles of crime and hopelessness. Effective reentry work, to sum it up, is the perfect marriage of doing what is right with doing what is smart. It's good for all of us. It's good for Kentucky. Governor, I'm very pleased to be part of the team doing this work. Thank you.
For this, for this and for some other announcements, we have folks from our various cabinets or organizations that do some of this reentry work. So anybody who wants to come up and join us as we sign the executive order, you're welcome to.
Morning.
Ready? Looking forward. And we're making it official. All right. It's another good step.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. This is for you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And y'all can pass these out. You've seen a few of them. Yeah. All right. Thank you all very much. You're welcome. All right, today we also have some great news to share when it comes to our work in preventing overdoses and saving lives. Kentucky's received a $37.2 million federal grant to support the continued work of our Kentucky Overdose Response Effort, known as CORE. This 3-year grant will help us further address the overdose crisis by increasing access to prevention, treatment, and recovery services for Kentuckians in need. This funding allows us to keep working with partners from across the state to continue life-saving work. Just last year, we funded programs that delivered free treatment and recovery services to over 32,600 Kentuckians and reach 145,000 youth through school and community-based prevention programs. With our partners, like the Kentucky Hospital Association, we are also working to reduce opioid overprescribing. We've expanded access to life-saving medicines, such as the Kentucky Pharmacists Association is helping to distribute 120,000 naloxone kits, because the answer to how many times that you should revive someone who's overdosing is every single time. That is a child of God, regardless of the circumstances that brought them there. That is somebody's child, that may be somebody's parent. People out there love that individual, and that individual deserves another chance, no matter how many times it's happened. I'm so grateful to people in the treatment and recovery world, and we're finally seeing real results, with us being one of the only states to see 2 straight years of decreases in drug overdose deaths. That is a lot of work by so many people. One of those individuals is Jody Jaggers of the Kentucky Pharmacists Association, who's with us today to talk more about this important work. You're very welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you. All right. The Kentucky Pharmacists Association is excited to continue our partnership with the Cabinet for Health and Family Services and the Kentucky Overdose Response Effort to facilitate the distribution of life-saving naloxone across the Commonwealth. Since 2018, over 400,000 two-dose units of naloxone have been distributed to Kentuckians through this initiative. While there are many things that have contributed to the nearly 10% reduction in overdose deaths we saw last year, we know that greater access to naloxone is likely a significant factor. In our fiscal year 2024, 110,000 two-dose units of naloxone were given to individuals, and we received reports that 5,500 overdoses were reversed. And that's just what was reported to us. The number is likely much higher than that. That's not just a number, and we need to remember that. That represents 5,500 lives saved, 5,500 more opportunities for individuals to find healing and recovery. And so it's always important for us to put numbers into context, that they are people. And as the governor said, they're someone's loved one, child, spouse, brother, sister. And so we never need to forget that. While naloxone distribution is just one part of the programs that are made possible with this grant, it remains a vital one. Naloxone is simply our best tool to save lives and prevent overdose death. With this new funding, coupled with significant reductions in the cost of the products, we're going to be able to, through the core grant, provide upwards of 120,000 two-dose units of naloxone annually for the next 3 years. And that's going to go to agencies and individuals all across the state. And we're excited to see, hopefully, increased reports of even more overdoses reversed through that. Nasal naloxone it's incredibly simple to use. You peel open the package, you put the tip of the product in the person's nostril, and you press the plunger, and it's that easy. And not only is it easy to use, it's never been easier to access in communities across the state of Kentucky. We encourage you to visit www.findnaloxonenowky.org. It's our state website, where you can go, and there's a wealth of resources there, including 4-minute animated training video, which is available in English and Spanish, printable resources for naloxone education, links to other useful sites online, and the most important thing that we offer on the site is a statewide naloxone locator. By simply putting in your zip code or city, you can find a list of all the resources in your local community that are distribution points for naloxone. That includes local health departments, nonprofits, kiosks, vending machines, and boxes, as well as pharmacies that can supply product to you, in many cases free or at very low cost. There's also an option for both individuals and agencies to request naloxone to be mailed directly to them through that site. So again, please visit www.findnaloxonenowky.org for more information about how to access naloxone near you. And thank you to everyone that may be listening today that carries naloxone. If you've ever administered it before, we appreciate you. There are people who owe their lives to you, and we thank you for that. Together, we can prevent and continue to prevent overdose death and help our fellow Kentuckians achieve life and health and recovery. Thank you, Governor.
Remember serving as Attorney General, and along with our now Director of Homeland Security, pulling an overdosing man from a car that thankfully emergency response personnel in Lexington had Narcan and was able to revive as he'd stopped breathing for some period of time. After that, I equipped all of our investigators in the Attorney General's office with Narcan, and I believe we had a save of a life using that Narcan within the first month. So it's just so important. And especially if you know someone or suspect someone is suffering from addiction, having this as a resource, knowing where to find it, having it ready could be the difference between the person that you care about still being with us and maybe being lost. So it's important. While drug overdose deaths are going down, we know that the drugs out there are more dangerous than ever with what fentanyl can do. So having Narcan be plentiful, have it being out there, having it being accessible, but you have to know where to get it. You got to do that work in advance so that you can be that person that's there for someone. So we encourage every Kentuckian. All right, this is an epidemic we want to end in our time. I don't want to leave our drug epidemic to our kids and to our grandkids. And this is one part, along with a lot of other things we've talked today about how we get that job done. Next, we have an update on our efforts to provide more healthcare access overall. As governor and also as a dad of 2 kids, there's nothing more important to me than making sure all Kentuckians have the best options if they get sick or injured and need care. That's why we've expanded Medicaid, and that's why we relaunched the state-based health exchange known as Connect. The window for Kentuckians to sign up for a qualified health plan through Connect is November 1st to January 15th. But starting now, Kentuckians can visit connect.ky.gov to preview health coverage options and see detailed information about 2025 plans and prices offered in their county ahead of the open enrollment period. This means if you don't have healthcare coverage through another source, such as an employer, Medicaid, the Kentucky Children's Health Insurance Program, Medicare, or TRICARE, you can start shopping for plans today, and you can enroll for a plan beginning on November 1st. And as a reminder, those eligible can sign up for Medicaid and the Kentucky Children's Health Insurance Program year-round. Now, back to the Connect enrollment period. We have a team of connectors and insurance agents in every county who are here to help at no cost. They can guide you through the process of finding quality, affordable health coverage that's best suited for you and your family, meaning you've got someone knowledgeable that can answer your questions and help you choose the very best plan to meet your and your family's needs. So if you need assistance exploring healthcare coverage options, please go to connect.ky.gov or call the number on the screen, 1-855-459-6328. Folks, healthcare is a basic human right, but the way that we provide it through the systems that we have means you need coverage. And this is one way to get coverage. We need to make sure every Kentuckian has a coverage of some form, whether that's an employer, whether they qualify for Medicaid or Medicare, or through Connect. It is so important that if we want to reach our full potential as a Commonwealth, our people have to be healthy, to be productive. And this is a resource that is out there. You've got agents or connectors that can answer your questions. So please go ahead and get online, go ahead and call, start determining which plan would fit best for you. And on November 1st, sign up. We want to see lower numbers of uninsured or uncovered Kentuckians, and this is a big step towards it. Today, we also have another update on our work to support our veterans. Our veterans are the very best, and they deserve the very best in return. That is why we believe it is nothing short of a sacred duty to care for and support these heroes. Just last week, we gave an update on our work to support veterans organizations. And today I'm proud to announce since February 2023, our Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs has seen great increases in staffing and residency at our 4 state veterans centers. And one of the biggest challenges when I became governor is some of our salaries were so low that despite all of our best efforts, we couldn't attract social workers. We couldn't attract enough Kentucky State Troopers, and we couldn't attract enough individuals to work in our veterans' homes. We know that we need personnel to provide the best care there. We know we need more social workers to lessen the caseload. And in each of these areas, we are seeing significant improvement. We've previously talked about having staffing levels at the Kentucky State Police better than they've been in over a decade. We've talked about how social workers are increasing across the administration. Today, we're proud to give a report on the Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs at our state veterans centers. We have had an incredible increase of 213 employees. 175 of them are nursing staff and 38 non-nursing staff. Being the governor during COVID and seeing the importance of having the very best trained individuals, especially the nursing staff in these facilities at that time, means this was a priority, a necessity, especially given the sacrifice that these veterans have made for us. These increases are thanks to many things, including needed pay raises over the years, as well as collaboration with approximately 19 local educational institutions that are providing on-site training and clinical rotations to help bring us more great team members. Building strong partnerships with these institutions helps us with future staffing opportunities, and it gives those who partake in these trainings and clinics exposure to a greater mission caring for our veterans. We're also recruiting nurses with a nurse loan repayment program. Each nurse must have completed a full year of employment with us and apply to be eligible for repayment of a portion of their student loans. To learn more about these opportunities, folks can visit veterans.ky.gov. The staffing growth has also driven an increase in the number of veterans our centers are able to serve. In other words, we have more space now, given that we have more staffing. During fiscal year 2024, we had 221 admissions, which is the highest year of admissions since fiscal year 2019. Our department is also out there working hard to recruit, including working with local hospitals and discharge planners for admissions to increase our residency. It's a really exciting time also for our 5th facility for veterans, this one in Bowling Green. It is approximately 85% complete and set to open in 2025. I'm also proud to say that our Department of Veterans Affairs team recently won their 4th straight VA Abraham Lincoln Pillars of Excellence Award for customer service. That's service to our veterans. Those are their customers. We're proud of our veterans, and that means we need to be proud of the work that we do for our veterans. Our team is doing a great job, and now we have more team members which help us to provide that great service. All right, next, as we know, fall is here in Kentucky because it's gotten colder, especially in the mornings. And if you've driven by the Capitol lately, you've seen the Halloween decorations that are up at the mansion, which are really getting into the full swing of the spooky season. Each year since becoming governor, Brittany and I have welcomed Kentucky's kids to the governor's mansion to celebrate Halloween and hand out candy to trick-or-treaters. This year, we're going to go even bigger. This Halloween from 6 to 8 p.m., we want to invite all of our friends, neighbors, and the entire community to join us at the Capitol South Lawn, the area right behind the Capitol and in front of the annex. Several of our cabinets and departments will have staff at booths to hand out candy. So dress up in your best costumes and join us for some family-friendly fun. If you have really little ones, this is a very safe way to get a little bit of trick-or-treating in. We recommend you start at the Floral Clock and visit each of the booths and tents we have set up, and then stop by to see Brittany, Winnie, and me at the mansion. And while we won't be giving out awards for the best costumes, I'm known to provide a little extra candy to those who've worked hard on those costumes. The space between the Capitol and the annex has become an incredible place where Kentuckians, and particularly Kentucky kids, have come to have a great time, from Frankfurt's annual Christmas parade to Easter egg hunts and our Derby weekend kickoff. We're excited to welcome everybody back. Everybody be safe as Halloween approaches. Be safe that night. This provides especially kids here in our capital city a very safe way to experience Halloween. I also want to provide an update for support Kentucky is providing in North Carolina and Florida in disaster recovery. In Kentucky, we've had more than our share of natural disasters in recent years. We got through those challenges together, and we had a whole lot of help from the rest of the country. I want to thank especially our first responders who helped us during those tough times. Our local police and firefighters, our Kentucky State Police, the critical utility crews, the Kentucky National Guard, the best National Guard in this entire country, and so many others. In our time of need, we were grateful to receive help from the National Guard from West Virginia and from Tennessee, and we received other help such as EM personnel from Florida. Now I'm proud to say that Kentuckians are repaying this kindness, stepping up in a variety of ways to help our neighbors in the aftermath of the last two hurricanes. I want to highlight some of their work today, but before I do, I'd mention we closed out my inaugural fund from this last inauguration. We sent $10,000 to North Carolina's Habitat for Humanity, knowing that there's going to be a big rebuilding effort there. Recognizing the generosity of so many that helped us out in Kentucky. The other recipient of the remaining funds was the Tommy Elliott Fund. Tommy was my good friend, a good friend to a lot of us that are in this room. He lost his life in the Old National shooting, and this is a fund to ultimately build leadership in his home city of Louisville. He was the chair of my first inauguration, and I know would have loved to have been at this one. Now, here are some more great ways that Kentuckians are helping others in need. The Kentucky State Police has offered to send troopers both to North Carolina and Florida. They remain on standby if needed. Yesterday, KSP troopers escorted farmers from the Post 15 area who are hauling equipment to help farmers in North Carolina. Post 15, which covers Adair, Casey, Clinton, Cumberland, Greene, Marion, Metcalfe, Monroe, Russell, Taylor, and Washington counties. It was the farmers there that were sending hauling equipment, fencing, hay, and more to help farmers hit by Helene get their operations back up and running. And our hardworking KSP troopers escorted this equipment to the state line where Tennessee troopers took over. In addition, at the request of Buckham County Emergency Operations Center, 6 dedicated KSP telecommunicators were deployed to Asheville. Telecommunicators Chrisley Sherrill, Brandon Adams, Brian Bullock, Dewey Birchfield, Nicole Mann, Guillermo Bustos left August 7th and completed a 7-day detail where they worked alongside local first responders and law enforcement to coordinate the dispatch of a helicopter for disaster relief operations and route first responders to citizens in need. Within the past 2 weeks, nearly 100 state transportation crew members made what was, in some cases, a 12-hour journey to North Carolina to do what Kentuckians do best, to lend a hand to those in need. They traveled alternate routes, hauling heavy equipment up 2-lane curvy roads to get to disaster-stricken areas like Boone and a suburb of Asheville, where side roads and secondary roads and shoulders were washed out in some places. By this weekend, more than 150 of Kentucky's highway crew members are or will have been on the front lines to assist North Carolina Department of Transportation's effort to rebuild and repair roads in the wake of Hurricane Helene's disastrous flooding. They're doing everything from moving trees off roads to clearing mudslides to replacing culverts and shoring up local roads, which is helping North Carolina's emergency crews help more people and help them faster. Just this week, one crew reopened a road into a holler. Power company trucks followed them in and were quickly able to restore electricity to families there. Yesterday, a crew coordinated with a local utility to repair a road so the company could restore water lines so that residents could get water flowing again. They've been 3 weeks without water. Tina Houston is the owner of Betty's Biscuits in Boone. Her community suffered greatly from flash flooding, and I think she tells it the best. After watching crews work long days to clear mud and debris and repair the road outside her restaurant, Tina sent a message to our Pikeville Highway District saying, "You all have saved our neighborhood. We will be forever thankful." Folks, it's not just about roads, it's about people's lives. We know how much this hurts to be hit this hard, and I'm really proud of Kentuckians stepping up to help their neighbors and knowing that those neighbors were here to help us. I want to thank all the Kentucky crew members involved. We are grateful for your work. So this week, I'm naming all of our Kentuckians who are helping out in any way, because there is no way too big or too small. All Kentuckians who are helping out in the recovery efforts, our Team Kentucky All-Stars. On a final note, we have a national election coming up on November the 5th. If you are working out of state for hurricane relief or for any other reason, you have the following options in casting your vote in the general election. First, mail-in absentee voting. Eligible voters can request a mail-in absentee ballot be sent to their residential address, or for workers out of state, any address they may need it sent to. Absentee ballots can be sent anywhere in the United States. To apply for a mail-in absentee ballot, you got to do that by Tuesday, October 22nd. The deadline to have them returned to your county clerk is November 5th by 6 p.m. You may request an absentee ballot online by visiting govote.ky.gov or calling your local county clerk's office. There you can find out about in-person absentee voting as well as early voting dates and options. These options are available for anyone out of town on election day or through the early voting period. So again, thanks to everybody who is out there helping our neighbors in need. All right, with that, we've gone pretty long. I'm going to open it up to questions. We have 2 journalists here with us and 2 on the line. We'll start with Tom Latek.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon to you. You mentioned the Mountain Parkway, which you said is, you've always maintained that's one of your 3 biggest projects. Anything new on Brent Spence and I-69 bridge?
The Brent Spence corridor project continues to move forward. It's such a massive project. The permitting process is complex. There are different chances for community involvement, and so we are working through each of those. We believe that the overall construction schedule is still on track or around where it was estimated, and we hope to have an official groundbreaking soon. But we want to make sure once you have the groundbreaking, people see that work, and there's still design work and engineering work, all of that's moving. The I-69 project, we continue to work on our approach to it, as well as the other parts of what will be I-69 to make something an interstate. Oftentimes we have to say expand lanes on some of our parkways that are going to be a part of that. So we're trying to bring everything up to where the bridge will be to the best standard that we can be. We applied for a grant on that one as well. It looks like we won on the Mountain Parkway grant in that round. Carolina.
Governor, overall, how successful do you think the state's reentry and second chance programs have been? And then you said we're focused on training that makes people immediately employable. Is that why cosmetology was selected? Is that a skill set that's in high demand? What else is being considered?
So cosmetology is in high demand, and it was even requested by those inside that prison as a skill that they were interested in learning. We believe that we can set up a good way for people to get that skill and credential and learn it inside the facility. Our reentry programs right now are operating better than I've ever seen them. I believe our outcomes are shown in the recidivism rate being low. Certainly, if you look at the last 3 years together, some of the lowest years that we've seen of recidivism. But that doesn't mean we can't and shouldn't do better. Because everybody that we can provide a stable job opportunity or at least job skills as they leave prison, I mean, the numbers show they're just significantly less likely to reoffend. So we're looking at a lot of the building trades. Construction is in such high demand right now, but we're also looking at manufacturing and logistics. You see more than a bakery and what they do and how successful that they've been. Part of creating the Employers Council is we also want to hear from them. And we know where we've been able to successfully help people be placed, but that's just a part of the overall workforce needs. And having large, medium, and small employers all talking about what they're seeing the needs be can help us readjust that training on the inside as well. Long term, I believe this can be one of the most successful programs to reduce crime, to improve public safety, and at the same time to rebuild lives, because we try to prevent someone from ever committing the first crime, and we're going to continue to try that. But this is where we know we can help prevent anyone from ever committing a second serious offense. All right, on the line, we have Karen Czar.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Governor. Governor, there's been a lot of misinformation about FEMA in recent weeks. Are you concerned that this will affect Kentuckians who are still in the process of, still filing appeals and filling out applications and those sorts of things? Thank you.
Well, I believe Kentuckians have the correct information that they need, because both after the tornadoes and then the floods and then the tornadoes since, on multiple occasions, as well as storms, I feel like we've communicated, and hopefully communicated effectively and directly through local leaders and to specific individuals, because on some of the last storms, our county judges, our local EM directors, they know the individual families that have been impacted. And as opposed to a massive event like the 2021 tornadoes or the 2022 floods, we can provide individual services to those families to help them apply. I'll give you an example. We had a set of tornadoes go through, and one of them went through Union County. And I was there with the judge, meeting the couple and their small kids that had lost everything they had. Well, the judge, knowing them, was able to help them walk through the FEMA process. And we know they received, I believe, the maximum in individual assistance. So I feel good where we are in Kentucky. With that said, misinformation and disinformation, and heck, we see some people straight out lying about what FEMA is or is not doing, hurts the people of North Carolina and Georgia and Tennessee. And those are Americans that deserve to have the right information to get back on their feet. Haven't been through this, right? Haven't talked to so many people who are trying to figure out how they were going to put their lives back together after one night, after an hour, wiped out everything that they had worked for. You deserve to have the right information. And for someone not to politicize it or to try to take advantage of it. You know, I'll give you the lie that burns me maybe more than most, because there's a number that are out there. The idea that all FEMA is providing people is $750. Totally untrue. That is the immediate needs money. That's to help you get groceries. That's to help you get diapers. That's to help you to get through the coming days and the next week. If people believe that that's all that's available, if they believe those messengers that are providing the misinformation, the disinformation, and the flat out lies, then they might not apply for what's now more than $40,000 that can help them. They might not apply for the buyout if they're not going to rebuild where they are. I mean, that could be the difference between somebody getting back on their feet and never being able to do it. We got to see the best of humanity after our natural disasters. We didn't have to deal with these shenanigans. And I hope those that are engaging in that type of misinformation will knock it off. These are the lives of our American citizens. They deserve the right information to ultimately access all the services that'll help them. Finally, Austin Horn.
Thank you, Governor. I was curious about the presidential election. Donald Trump has made some negative comments about EVs and the regulations that the current administration has put on the EV sector. And I was curious if you feel confident about the future of the Ford plant and other investments in the EV sector in the state if Trump does win the election.
Well, I feel confident in the existing facilities that we have or that are under construction. But there's no question that the way President Trump talks about EVs is slowing down investments that would otherwise be happening. Listen, EVs are the future. The only question is how quickly it happens. Certainly, it looks like it's going to take longer than initial projections, mainly because of the charging network. The credits don't come online until enough parts are built in the United States, and then the cost, which is coming down right now and will continue to. But the negative comments being made by somebody who is also strongly supported by someone who makes the most EVs out there aren't helping. And remember, these are billion-dollar investments, not just in Kentucky, but around the country. And ultimately, I think they're misinformed. I mean, certainly the comments on regular assembly that I think he was making about a South Carolina facility are just entirely wrong. I mean, go walk through the Louisville truck plant. The work that they do is sophisticated. It is difficult. It is high tech. It is not just taking parts out of a box. It's the automotive industry is so important to Kentucky that having again folks out there that I think either don't understand the industry or are for political reasons saying negative things about it. That impacts jobs that Democrats, Republicans, and Independents work in, especially across the South. So I think the speed at which the investments are made could be impacted by the election for two reasons. Number one, Donald Trump's negative comments on EV in general. But number two, his tariff policy is going to impact foreign direct investment that are concerned about being hit by a tariff. Tariffs increase the cost of everything because they continue to be imported, and if they cost more to that company in another country, they just add to the price. But the second piece is you get retaliatory tariffs. So the last time President Trump was in office, he put a tariff on steel on the EU, and what we got back is a tariff on bourbon. Thankfully, working with Secretary Gina Raimondo, we were able to undo that, at least for the near future. But that could have cost our industry hundreds of millions of dollars. So a longer answer to the question, but one that I think people should think about as they come up to this election. All right, that is this week's Team Kentucky update. We will not have a Team Kentucky update next week. We'll see you the week after that. All right, everybody, be good, do good things, be kind to each other.